In this video, we're going to be talking about how to solve one-step equations with integers. So let's remember our rules. So addition rules. So when we have same signs on both numbers, we add. When we have different signs on the numbers, we subtract. And with this, there's a little key. At the end, we keep the sign of the bigger number. So if the bigger number is negative, your answer is going to be negative. Okay, our subtraction rule. This is where we do keep, change, change. So for instance, if we have -7 minus 5, we would need to do keep, change, change, which is keep the first number the same, change the second number to addition, and then change the sign of the second number. So 5 becomes -5, okay? Because we want to turn any subtraction problem into an addition problem because we know our addition rules. Last is our multiplication and division rules. So when we have a negative and a positive, when we are multiplying or dividing, our answer is going to be negative. When we have two negatives, our answer is going to be positive. And when we have two positives, our answer is positive. So let's do some examples. So the first thing with equations, I always want you guys to draw a line down from the equal sign because we are trying to balance out the equations. We always look at the side with the variable. We want to ask ourselves what operation is being used because we want to undo that operation by doing the opposite. So in this case, we have -161. So to undo that operation, we are going to add 161 to both sides. On the left-hand side, these cancel out because -161 plus 161, this is additive inverse, they equal 0. So on the left, we are left with our variable. And on the right, we have a negative number plus a positive. Same sign add, different sign subtract. We have different signs, so we are going to be subtracting. Larger number goes on top. We can't take 7 away from 1, so we're going to borrow. So we are left with 44. Our bigger number is positive, so our answer is going to be positive. Problem 2, draw your line down from the equal sign. We are dealing with the number that is connected to the variable or the side that has the variable on it. We're undoing the operation. So what operation is being used? Subtraction. So we are going to be adding to both sides. This cancels out. Remember, the negative plus a positive, it's additive inverse, so we're left with 0. G on the right. In this case, we have a negative and a positive again, so we're going to be subtracting. The large number is already on top, so I'm just going to go ahead and subtract. Need to borrow from my 2. And then I need to borrow again from my 5. I'm going to bring my decimal point down. And in this case, I have a 2.84, but my bigger number was negative, so my answer is going to be negative. Okay, again, draw your line down from the equal sign. We are using the side that has the variable. We're going to undo the operation by doing the opposite, so we're going to be subtracting this time. We are canceling those out, bringing down your variable. We are subtracting a negative. So in this case, -57, always write it out like an expression so you can kind of visualize it. We are subtracting with a negative. So our subtraction rule is to keep, change, change. We keep -57, we change subtraction to addition, and we change the sign of the 27, so that becomes a -27. When we add two negative numbers, they just stay negative. It's just like owing people money. 7 plus 7 is 14. Carry the 1. 5 plus 3 is 8. So we have negative 84. We are always going to draw our line down first. We're using the side that has the variable. In this case, we have division because a fraction means that we are dividing. So in this case, we're going to be multiplying by negative 4. This side cancels out, so we're left with m. We're multiplying by negative 4 on both sides. Remember our multiplication division rules. 2 negatives make a positive. We have 32 times 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. So my final answer is positive 128. Draw your line down. When a number is right next to a variable, it means to multiply. To undo multiplication, we are going to divide. So we're going to be dividing by negative 2.5. Cancels out. So we're left with t. A positive and a negative. Our answer is going to be negative. I like to do that first so I don't forget. On the outside of my division house is what I'm dividing by. In this case, I cannot have a decimal on the outside of my division house, so I need to move my decimal over. I only have to move it over one time to make a whole number, but I also need to move it over one time on the number that's going on the inside of my division house. Bring up your decimal so you don't lose your placing. I'm going to go ahead and start listing out multiples of 25 so that I can see how many times I can fit 25 into these numbers. 25 cannot fit into 8, but it can fit into 87 1, 2, 3 times. So 3 goes up, and we're going to subtract 75. 7 minus 5 is 2. 8 minus 7 is 1. 25 cannot fit into 12, so I'm going to bring down my 5. And 25 can fit into 125 5 times. So my final answer would be negative 3.5. Last but not least, I'm going to draw my line down from an equal sign. I'm using the side that has the variable. This is division. Fraction means to divide. So to undo this operation, I'm going to multiply to be left with my variable. I'm trying to isolate that variable. Multiply by negative 1.3. I have a positive and a negative, so I know my answer is going to be negative. When I multiply decimals, I like to put the larger or the longer number up top. 9 times 3 is 27. 7 goes down, 2 goes up. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 2 is 11. I am not going to just bring my decimals down. I'm going to count my decimal places. So I have 1 digit after my first decimal and 1 after my decimal on the bottom. So total, I am moving my decimal 2 times. My decimal is right here, 1, 2. My final answer would be negative 1.17.